Hello, welcome to the Georgina Chamber of Commerce 2022 Municipal Election Debate on Rogers TV. I'm Dave Solossi. The debates are being held in partnership with Rogers Television Georgina and the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. Today, you will hear from one of the candidates who are seeking your vote for the October 24th election for York Catholic District School Board Trustee. So with me today is Teresa Nickel, the candidate for trustee. Peter Fracassi did not appear for the debate today. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have a time for me to have a brief interview with Teresa. Welcome, Teresa. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solossi.
Why don't we begin? You have some opening comments you would like to make. Why don't we start with that, your opening remarks?
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you to Rogers Cable 10 here in Georgina. I want to be honest with the Catholic ratepayers in Georgina. Even under a death threat that's been towards me, I still want to be your Catholic school trustee because I want to continue to advocate on behalf of your child. I will not be bullied into quitting this race. In the next term, what I would like to see for Georgina is to build an addition onto Our Lady of the Lake, so that when the population boom explodes, we will be ready as a Catholic system. I want to see the new Catholic elementary school in East Gwillimbury to be a stream center, so that will reduce the travel time for students in Georgina. Thank you.
Okay. Why don't we do a few questions, Teresa, okay? So my first question to you would be then, what do you believe is the number one issue facing our public educational system today, and why? What issues do you believe need to be addressed?
For me, as the Catholic school trustee, I believe the number one issue after the pandemic is mental health and academic deficits. I think as a system, the government must address those two unique situations regarding our kids.
Well, now that you brought up about the pandemic, let's talk about that a little bit more.
Sure.
Because it's still with us.
Yes.
So what precautions do you promote to deal with the risk of COVID infection in our schools?
For me as an individual, I believe that we all have a responsibility to do whatever we can to reduce the pandemic and the virus. For example, some people enjoy wearing their masks. That's great. For those who do not wish to, that's fine. But we all have to do something to ensure that this pandemic stops. For instance, hand washing, hand sanitizers in our schools, HAPPY filters in all our classrooms. Those reduces the COVID spread.
So reflecting on these past 2 years, and what they meant for our students, what they continue to mean for our students, as you allude to there. What is your position on hybrid learning and the mandatory online learning?
I'll be honest, I did vote in favor of the hybrid learning, but going through the last 2 years of the hybrid learning, I'm totally against it. And I found that there was a lot of stress on the teachers to be able to teach the hybrid. And I think a lot of kids were struggling with the hybrid learning also. So I would not be in favor of a hybrid ever again.
Now, this budget from the provincial government has made some very significant cuts to public education. What would you seek to prioritize in light of these cuts?
I do believe that as a Catholic system, we have to look after the students that have special needs. For some reason, that is always the first budget that boards cut, special education. Unfortunately, we cut $2.6 million from our budget. I was the only trustee that stood up opposed to it. Because if we do not invest in our students today, we are going to pay for it later on in life. Mm-hmm. So this government needs to start smartening up and invest in education.
And how can that be encouraged? How can we move things forward to encourage the government to more completely fund public education?
I think we as a community have to stand up to this government and say that's enough. We cannot no longer afford to be always cutting. They need to start investing more dollars into all the different areas, transportation, special ed.
What do you feel personally is the greatest support you can promote to develop a positive learning environment for our students?
Let's see. I think when we're talking about positive environment, that means everybody's happy, and we show how Catholic we are as a system, helping people, just the entire person.
What are your views on standardized testing? Particularly, I'm thinking of the EQAO test.
I'm not in favor of that. It is a snapshot of one day. I always believe that as all of us, we are life learners. Just because on Tuesday you didn't do well doesn't mean Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday you haven't. You've done better. And that's what we have to promote. Encouraging kids to always achieve their full potential. You know, sometimes in life it's about not putting a child down and saying, listen, you didn't make the grade. We should be more positive and say, listen, if we only spent maybe 5 to 10 more minutes learning, you're doing homework, that's all that a child needs is encouragement. And that's why I don't like standardized testing. It's just a really snapshot of a time period.
Now, this year, all of the education unions are facing contract negotiations,
Yes.
both at the provincial level and then again at the school board level.
Yes.
I'd like to ask you a question about that, but in a slightly different way.
Okay.
In what ways do you strive or hope or think that education worker unions and trustees can work together as a team in the board to improve publicly funded education?
Well, I've taken, in the last 4 years, I have made major strides in working with the unions, having conversations about issues that they have and that we have, and finding a common ground. It's called open dialogue, and standing together when it's when this government decides to cut, and cut. We stand together. It should be a team effort. It's not just the board and the union. It's all of us, because who is the most centered person in all this? Our students.
Now I'm going to ask you, do you have a summary statement you'd like to make now before we end this interview?
Yeah, sure. So on October 24th, I'm asking for your support. I have the experience, I have the strong voice, and I'm going to stand on my record. My record proves my dedication to the community of Georgina. So you can count on me. Thank you. And thank you to Rogers.
Well, thank you very much, Teresa, for your participation today and for coming to take part in the debates. Thank you to the viewers for joining us. I just want to say that there's the whole series of debates that are being hosted by Rogers in cooperation with the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. We hope that these debates will help you to make an informed decision for your vote on October 24th. Now, the schedules are available on rogerstv.com. We also invite you to tune in live on election night, October 24th, to see the local results. One other invitation I'd like to extend is to watch Politically Speaking this month, in which 3 former members of council will be talking about the issues in the upcoming municipal elections. I'm hosting that show. I'm Dave Selassie.